I've worked with brands making $1 million a year, I've worked with brands making $10 million a year, and I've worked with brands that make over $100 million a year. Now, while the basics of retention and email marketing don't really change, there are definitely some key strategic changes that need to be happening at each level. And the strategies that get you the results definitely change. So in this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the top 3 approaches that I recommend for brands based on whether they're at $1 million a year, $10 million a year, or $100 million a year. So by the end, you will know exactly what you need to know to scale your email marketing channel without having to waste time on stuff that doesn't match where your brand's at right now. Starting with the very first level, which is going to be brands making $1 to $10 million a year. Now in this case, you're a brand who might have some product market fit, but you haven't quite found your footing to really scale, which means cash flow is probably tight. You're dependent on 1 or 2 main acquisition channels, and one slip or meta update can ruin your growth. While that might not be the case for every brand, it's definitely very, very common. Now when it comes to email marketing for brands at this level, there are a few different scenarios you might be in. Now it's quite rare that a brand is gonna have email marketing absolutely dialed at this size. So having all the right flows set up with the right amount of volume in each of them, sending the right campaigns at the right amount, and an engaged list that actually keeps buying. However, the most common scenario for brands at this stage is they are undersending, over-relying on discounts, and sending the same campaigns to absolutely everybody on their list. Now what makes this even worse is that email at this stage should not be complicated whatsoever. Yet a lot of brands still mess this up. So the 3 things that I look for is making sure you have a pop-up form that is active and optimized. You have the base flows, you don't need any crazy personalization, you just have all the base flows with a couple emails in each one, and you're sending email campaigns to your engaged list at least 3 times per week. So brands at this stage typically are gonna have a simple sort of offer like 10% off like this. Most of them aren't gonna have some sort of quiz funnel like this, which I highly recommend for pop-up forms. I recommend don't just go for the email address, but most brands at this stage just do that. So most of them are gonna have some sort of like 10% off offer, asking for the discount, and that's completely fine. We're gonna be talking about it in the next stage for 8-figure brands where we actually want to test our offers. But really just as long as you have sort of forms like this that are firing for everybody who goes to your website, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. And our goal is to take your form from something like usually a basic form just that goes straight to email. It's going to be converting at like 4 to 5%. Really, we want to get this to 10% plus, just like these examples. So now let's get to the campaigns. And then what we want here for our campaigns is we want to be sending emails at least 3 times per week. 3 to 4 times per week is all you need. You can see here we're sending a little bit more for this brand, but I really wanted to show this example because look at our segmentation. You could see the segmentation that we're doing right here is just engaged 120 for almost all of these sends. A lot of brands at the 7-figure stage think they need to get super complicated with their segmentation. I'm here to tell you that it's really not worth it at your stage. What's worth it for your stage is sending emails to tens of thousands of people and casting a wide net and building your passionate email list. You can see the open rates and the click rates that we're getting here. And you can see the revenue that's coming as a result. 7-figure brands, for your campaigns, just focus on sending good campaigns 3 to 4 times per week to your engaged list. You don't need to overcomplicate it. Now for every brand, it's gonna be important that we're mixing these graphic-based emails with text-based emails like this. It's super, super important to make sure that we have a mix of both of them. And we want to majority be sending non-discount emails by following something like these. You could pause this if you want, these non-discount email angles that you can use, and then mixing in around once per month, doing some sort of sale like this. That's all we're looking for campaigns at this stage. Broad emails to your engaged list and build up your passionate email list. Okay, we've talked about pop-up forms for 7-figure brands and we've talked about our campaigns as 7-figure brands. Now let's talk about our flows. Similar to campaigns, we don't need anything super crazy or super segmented for our flows as a 7-figure brand. We just want to execute the basics and we want to execute them at a high level. And by the basics, I mean the welcome flow, the site abandon flow, the browse abandon flow, the cart abandon flow, the checkout abandon flow. These are all of our pre-purchase flows, and then our post-purchase flow and our win-back flow. Those are gonna be our only post-purchase flows that we have live. Now you hear a lot of buzz about sort of post-purchase flows and upsells and all that stuff, but at your stage, you really don't need it. And even at any stage of a brand, most of your retention and repeat purchases comes from your campaigns. You're sending 3 to 4 times per week to your list. Most people are gonna rebuy from those campaigns, so you don't need to get too crazy with the post-purchase. So here we are inside of this dashboard inside of Omnisend, looking at the flows for this brand that I'm auditing. Omnisend is a great option if you want a cheaper alternative for your email sending platform, and for 7-figure brands, it makes sense. You can go to omnisend.com/max, you can get 30% off your first 3 months. But going into here, we can see the different flows that we have live based and ordered on revenue. You can see they have the welcome flow, we have the checkout trigger, so the checkout abandon flow, then we have the browse abandon flow, and then we have the cart abandon flow, and then we have post-purchase, and then a post-purchase specific to a second-time buyer. And then we can see all the way down here that there is the site abandon flow, and then the win back flow. So amazing. This brand is getting engagement on all these flows. They have all the core flows active. That's what I care about. We can click into these flows, and typically for all of our flows, we want to make sure that we have at least 3 to 4 emails. So if we go in here, we can see that there is one email right there, and then another email right here. Perfect. This is amazing. This is the frequency that we want. Now we're sending quite a lot of emails right here, but this is good for the welcome flow. Amazing. We just need to make sure that we have more than one email, because I review a lot of brands that only have one email, and that's not good. We can go to like our checkout abandon. So there's one email there. Here's another email right here. There's A/B testing going on here, which isn't fully necessary at a brand at this size. It's just going to take a long time to get conclusive results. But you can see there are multiple emails. This is perfect. This is the sort of setup that we want as a 7-figure brand. No need to create crazy splits or branches quite yet. That's what 7-figure email marketing looks like. Execute the basics and execute them at a high level. Have a strong pop-up form that converts 10% of your website traffic or more. Send broad email campaigns to your engaged list 3 to 4 times per week, and have your base flows with at least 2 to 4 emails in each one of them. Let's go to the 10 mil to $100 million brand. Now, once you start approaching the $10 million mark, things start to change. Because at this stage, your main bottleneck isn't generating attention. It's scaling efficiently without breaking your margins or breaking your operations. The main thing here that we really care about is retention. And as a nice little bonus, driving down our CAC if email can help. At $10 million per year, you're gonna have a small team, but at the end of the day, you're managing the whole operation, you and your core team. Inventory planning, fulfillment speed, customer support, and full departments within your business, the different marketing departments. Like you're gonna have a meta ads team specifically, and then a Google ads team and an email team. So your primary goal shifts from getting more customers to making sure that things are efficient and you don't have too many leaks in the business. A lot of brands at this stage will stick with their 7-figure email marketing setup when that is just the thing that you do not want to do, because you are driving so much traffic now to your site and you're spending so much money on your ads. So how should you adjust now with your email, and what should you change from your 7-figure setup to now be an 8-figure email marketing setup? Now we need to pivot our focus from executing on the basics to optimizing for conversions based on different customers. Because at this stage, you have volume where it counts. So the 3 key shifts at this stage that we're going to want to make is within our pop-up forms, we're going to want to gather customer data. Incremental improvements in our pop-up form are super duper important. So you need to be A/B testing the crap out of your form. You need to start having splits and customization within your flows to match customers where they're at in the customer journey. And 3, you need to start slowly ramping up your email campaign volume. Maybe not quite to an email every day, but get close to it. So now at this stage, I think that every 8-figure brand needs to have this sort of quiz pop-up form and actually use this data. A lot of 7-figure brands will have this sort of pop-up form because it converts really well. You ask a question for the customer first. They don't know that you're gonna ask for an email, and so it's just like, oh, I just answer this question and I get a discount. But as an 8-figure brand, you should be using this data that you're getting off of this form. So that's the first thing that we're going to want to adjust with our acquisition. The other thing that we are going to want to test here is we want to test our offers in our pop-up form. This is going to be incredibly important because at this stage, when we're driving this much traffic, a 1% increase is a huge difference because you're driving over 100,000 people plus to your website every single month. A 1% increase is the difference between 1,000 people. So we want to be testing our different offers, and we want to be segmenting our audience based on what we're getting in the pop-up form. So you can see this brand doing a mystery discount. That's something that you want to test. You can see 15% off here. You can see 10% off here. You can see a free gift right here. These are all things that we want to test because they are going to be a huge lever since we're driving so much traffic. You can see right here, this test that we did for a brand, 20% off versus a mystery discount. Look at the difference in conversion rate on the pop-up form for this mystery discount, 22% compared to 14.94%. And then you look even further at, did these people convert? And look at how many orders on this mystery discount offer compared to the 20% off offer. Now it's different each brand. Sometimes the offers are different, but at 8 figures, this stuff really, really matters. So that's what it should be all about. So here's an example of a welcome flow email number 1 for an offer test that we did for this 8-figure brand. This brand does about $20 to $30 million a year. What we did was we tested different offers of their pop-up. We tested 10% off versus $25 off versus a mystery discount, which happened to be $25 off, and then their free gift offer, which they've been running for years. And we can look at our placed order rate across these different emails. So they've been running this free gift offer for forever, and look at the placed order rate, 3.3%. Compared to the next best, which is the mystery discount, which happened to be $25 off, 7.6%. So even just taking it to the next best performer right here is over a double in conversions. This is going to net them so much money at the end of the year. And then we can go to the 10% off, which turned out to be 8.6% placed order rate. And then the winner right here, offering just $25 off to everybody. Now, before you say anything, the AOV on this brand is about like $300, $400. So $25 off is actually less than 10% off. It's just for some reason, $25 off sounds better to these people in this specific customer set. And the free gift offer costs less than $25 to produce. And so technically like the ROI might be better here, but when you're getting 3x the amount of orders, the net profit ends up favoring this offer. So that's gonna be pop-ups and acquisition. Now let's get to the second part, which is going to be flows and what segmentation you should do in flows. The first thing is customizing your flows based on what the customer said in the pop-up form. So we wanna be gathering information from the customer based on what they're looking for, and then we want to deliver emails that are custom to that customer based on what they have said in that form. So take a look at these 4 variations for this brand. So this brand sells magnesium, and they ask the customer in the pop-up form, like, what are you looking for? What's the benefit that you're looking for? And people either say better sleep, helping sore muscles, helping with stress, or low energy. What we could see here is customizing the first welcome email and then also every single welcome email to be based on that benefit. So this right here, you have this variation for people who say they want better sleep. So this email is saying, hey, magnesium for better sleep. Everything is talking about sleep, how magnesium helps with better sleep. Whereas this one is talking about sore muscles right here and how it helps. And then this one on stressful days, and then this one, which is talking about energy. Now you see it's the same sort of email, but literally just calling out exactly what the customer is looking for works so much better. It's not a double in conversions that you're gonna get by customizing this, but maybe a 25% increase in conversions, absolutely. And as an 8-figure brand, it makes sense to be spending your time on adjusting these things and doing that because of the volume you're doing that a 7-figure brand doesn't get. Like, what's gonna convert better? This welcome email saying, hey, magnesium helps with better sleep, sore muscles, stressful days, all this sort of stuff that somebody doesn't care about, or just doubling down on what they care about. Now, the other segmentation that you wanna do in your flows as an 8-figure brand is you wanna be splitting based on if somebody has bought from you before or if they haven't, specifically in your abandonment flows. So we can see this brand right here that's splitting this checkout abandoned flow based on if somebody's bought from us before or if they haven't. And for people who haven't bought from us before, we are reminding of that welcome offer. If somebody signed up for 10% off, then somebody abandons, we want to remind them of their welcome discount. Maybe we wanna add a lot more education into these emails. So you can see the split right here, sending custom emails based on if somebody's bought from us before or if they haven't. It might not make sense to do this at 7 figures, but it definitely does at 8 figures. You can see that non-buyers just have different buying habits compared to people who have bought from us before. Like, look at the difference in conversions here. But before we ran this and we were just giving these non-purchasers the same email as before right here, these numbers were even lower, down at like 3% placed order rate. At 8 figures, it 100% makes sense to split based on buyers and non-buyers for all your abandonments. Here's how an abandonment email might look different for somebody who hasn't bought before versus somebody who has bought from us before. Somebody who hasn't bought from us before, maybe we want to push an extra discount their way. Give them the discount, and then of course mixing in some social proof because people are going to need a little bit more education to buy, and then some copy around like, hey, give us a chance. Versus people who have bought from us before saying stuff like, hey, you felt the difference, let's keep it going, and then push your subscription program. Having these customized emails based on where the customer is at is important and very worth it at your level. So now let's get into the campaigns. What's different as an 8-figure brand using campaigns? Nothing too much besides increase your volume and maybe add another layer of segmentation. So right here, we could see this brand where we're sending the 20th, 22nd, 24th, 27th, 29th, but then we decide, hey, we're gonna do a big push this month, so we're sending emails every single day. You can make that choice as an 8-figure brand. If you're driving a lot of traffic and you have a dialed pop-up form, you're getting a lot of new people joining the list, so you can send more because you're replenishing people even if they unsubscribe. So look at how often we're sending here and just look at the revenue that we are generating from it. And you can see right here, if we break down the list, you can see that we are getting a lot more people unsubscribing, but we're just getting so many people joining the list that it's okay. We're okay to make that sacrifice. Whereas like in these early days, we were very careful with how often we were sending. But hey, since we're getting a lot of people, we've turned on acquisition a little bit more. Let's get a little bit more aggressive. That's what changes when you're at 8 figures. So those are the key differences once you hit 8 figures. You really need to dial in on your pop-up form and you need to test the hell out of your offers. In your flows, you need to customize your content based on how the customers come into the funnel, and also you need to customize your base core flows based on if people are buyers or non-buyers or other key differences that they may have. And third, you need to ramp up your campaign volume. No need to get too fancy with segmentation yet. You absolutely can, but really we just want to increase our volume to start sending at least 5 campaigns per week. Now you can take what I'm saying right here and give it a go, but there's a lot of nuance here, and this isn't just like take what I'm saying and run with it. You got to know if it's right for your brand. You can book a call below with us where experts will tell you exactly what you should be doing with your email list to make the most amount of money. We have 2 different ways that you can work with us. Either we'll fully manage your setup just like we do for over 100 different brands, sending all your emails and doing all the strategy. Or number two, you could do consulting with us, where essentially we'll tell you exactly what to do. We'll be inside your account, analyzing it for you and everything like that. Just click one of the links below and we'll help you out. Now, either way, once you hit $100 million a year, things change completely. The game is completely different than when you were at 7 figures. At this level, we need to double down on our frequency, and we need to be coordination experts and project management experts. And we really need to take into account risk management. See, at 9 figures per year, your business has become incredibly complex. You're selling across multiple different channels. You probably have all sorts of different SKUs, and all have their own requirements and different customer journeys. And on top of that, your organization probably has tons of different departments, and it's difficult to get everybody on the same page. At this scale, a small mistake can cost you millions, so you need to make sure that delivery and management of your people is on point. One deliverability issue could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially even millions every single month. Basically, everything that you need to do as a 7-figure and 8-figure brand needs to apply to 9 figures. But now we need to go a lot harder on our frequency and how often we're sending, and we can get a little bit more fancy with our segmentation. As a brand at this level, you need to be sending at least 1 email every single day. I recommend it to your mass engaged list while also adding different layers of segmentation. Like if I was a brand that sold supplements, if I was sending a campaign about creatine, then I would send that email to my mass 120-day engage list, and I would also be sure to add a segment of anybody who has viewed creatine at least once over all time. But the big thing here is just making sure that you get an email out every single day. Every day that you don't send email, you are losing a shit ton of money. Once you are sending those emails every single day, we can start focusing on our micro optimizations, because as a 9-figure brand, micro optimizations are a huge unlock. As a 9-figure brand, if you can stack a ton of different 1% optimizations, then you are in a fantastic place. If you found an A/B test that improved things by 1% every single day, 1% compounded every single day for a year, you're in a completely different spot. An email every day with best practice emails. If we look at Groons, for example, we can see what their email welcome flow looks like, for example. They send an email every single day, and look at how dialed their creatives are. They have a button up at the top of every single email. They have their offer way up at the top of every single email so that the customer doesn't need to scroll. All customers care about is the offer, so they make sure that they have that in the customer's face right when they open the email. And then they're also using infographics and strong education based on where the customer's at in the customer journey. Abandonments as well. Button above the fold so the customer doesn't need to scroll with the offer right in your face. The right infographics that are overcoming the objections that the customer may have. This is what is important at this stage. And then of course, their daily email campaigns that they're sending to everybody who has never bought from them before. Guys, I have been in many 9-figure accounts, and I'm telling you, they're not doing anything crazy different besides just executing this stuff at a high level with a little bit of personalization. It's just they're sending a shit ton of volume. Look at how many emails I received from Groons after signing up on the 14th. 2 emails that day, 3 emails on the 15th, 3 emails on the 16th, 2 emails on the 17th. Look at how often they are sending emails. It is just crazy. And they continue sending a shit ton of emails. Multiple every single day. It's crazy because email is cheap, and if they can get people to convert off email rather than ads, that's more profit back in their pocket. And look at the SMS, for example. Look at how often they are sending SMS. Look at the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 13th, the 14th. They're sending so much right here just because it's so cheap compared to ads. The difficulty is not necessarily getting the volume out, it's making sure your quality is high on the volume that you're putting out. Anybody could send an email every single day and just blast it out, but not everybody can make it as high quality as they do. And that's what separates the 9-figure brands. Pumping a shit ton of volume, but keeping the quality like this. Of course, just like the other brands at any level, they need to make sure that they have their core flows absolutely dialed. They need to be segmenting it even more, and they need to have their pop-up form absolutely dialed, testing offers, but that's a given. What truly separates these brands is the quality that they're doing and the frequency at which they're doing it. Again, notice how there isn't some crazy new AI tech feature or this crazy new system. No, 9-figure brands just do the basics at a high level with a little bit more complexity and a high standard. I review literally household names on a weekly basis, and they're not doing some crazy shit. Don't get caught up in all the crazy shit. That's exactly how email strategies evolve from 1 million to 10 million to $100 million a year. There's a lot I didn't cover in this video, including the types of emails that you want to send, as well as how to write them, design them, and get people to actually buy. So if you want to see my complete, more in-depth strategy that I've used to generate over $200 million, watch this video next and I'll walk you through all of it. I'll see you over there. Thank you so much for watching.